responsibility is the price of greatness.
Thanks CUB for your part in an early savings plan for our children.
Good evening and welcome to the finals. Yes, we are at the final encounter of the 2022 Caribbean Union Bank Intersecondary School Impromptu Speaking Competition. And you would recall from our last encounter that our three finalists are from the Irene B. Williams Secondary, the Antigua Girls High School, and the Trinity Academy. I am delighted to be with you this evening. I am Alicia Knowles, your moderator for the 2022 series. I will now introduce to you our participants for this evening's encounter. Mr. Diego Bascom from the Irene B. Williams Secondary. Ms. Kewana Farrell from the Antigua Girls High School. And Mr. Esteban Feliz from the Trinity Academy. This evening, as we go through the finals, I remind our participants of the rules. Each speaker has a maximum time of 3 minutes in which to make their presentation. And yes, we're at the finals, so they have an additional minute. The timekeeper, Ms. Lynch, will sound the bell once 2 minutes would have expired, and will sound the bell twice when the maximum allotted time of 3 minutes has expired. Also in this evening's encounter, there is the question and answer component where the judges will pose one question to each speaker after they would have received submissions from the students who are formulating the questions this evening. Speakers, we remind you that you have a maximum time of 1 minute in which to respond to this question. Tasked with the responsibility of adjudicating this evening's encounter are Mr. Ursel Charles Jr., our Chief Judge and Deputy Director of News and Current Affairs at ABS TV Radio, Mr. Kadim Joseph, Health Editor and News Producer at Observer News Co., and Ms. Sharon Herbert, Social Sector Planner within the Ministry of Social Transformation. In addition to our judges, we have some special guests with us this evening that I would want to introduce to you, our listening and viewing audience. And as it is our finals, we have representation from the Ministry of Education, also from our sponsor, Caribbean Union Bank. And this evening, it gives me great pleasure to welcome to the studio with us this evening Mrs. Desrin Collins, who is the Education Officer for Language Arts within the Ministry of Education, and Dr. Desiree Antonio, Education Officer, School Administration, Zone 3. Please welcome our specially invited guests. And we are happy that they could have taken time out of their busy schedule to come and support our three finalists this evening. In addition, we have with us the representative from Caribbean Union Bank, Mr. Ezran Gittens, and he's been with us for the entire 4 encounters. And Mr. Gittens, we are indeed thankful and delighted to have you with us. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of our introductions and our preliminaries, and we will be back to begin this evening's encounter after we would have heard from our sponsor, Caribbean Union Bank. Please stay with us.
With my busy schedule, a CUB debit and credit card is a must. It makes my life much easier and one less thing I have to worry about.
Thank you for staying with us, and welcome back to this, our final encounter of the 2022 Caribbean Union Bank Intersecondary School Impromptu Speaking Competition. We have met our speakers, and we are now ready to begin this evening's encounter. Please welcome to the podium our first speaker from the Trinity Academy, Esteban Feliz.
Ladies and gentlemen, the topic that I was chosen to speak on today is the blue economy, an economic option for Antigua and Barbuda. I will first define what is a blue economy. In brief terms, a blue economy is when a country uses its proximity to the ocean, via it by fishing or by other hydroponic means, to sustain its economy. For far too long has Antigua been a monocultural economy. Shortly after the collapse of the sugar industry, Antigua and Barbuda dove headfirst into the tourism industry. Although it has benefited us greatly from those times, it is no longer a viable option. As we have seen with the 2020 and 2021 coronavirus, the tourism sector has been greatly affected. People have lost jobs. Businesses have been forced to close down, and people are destitute. We need economic diversification if we are to move forward as a country. And the blue economy is one way we can do that. We don't have to do just the blue economy, but it's a great stepping stone to get economic diversification. Now, with the introduction of the blue economy, we would be introducing fishing to the mainstream economic development of Antigua and Barbuda. Not only would this help fishermen and people that work in the ocean in general to have a better standard of living and to increase their profit gains, but it would also set Antigua and Barbuda apart from its peers, from not depending on tourism anymore, from not depending on sun, sand, and sea, as we have for so many decades. The blue economy is a way forward. It's a way forward for a new future, a future where people don't have to depend on a single monocultural industry to sustain their life and the life of their country. Thank you.
Thank you, Esteban. Esteban spoke on the topic, blue economy, an economic option for Antigua and Barbuda, and he did so in a time of 2 minutes and 21 seconds. We will now await the judge's question.
Good evening, Esteban. Your question is as follows. Do you think that Antigua and Barbuda stands to gain more economically from the tourism industry or the blue economy? Once more, do you think that Antigua and Barbuda stands to gain more economically from the tourism industry or the blue economy?
I believe that Antigua and Barbuda stands to gain more from the blue economy because as opposed to tourism, which is a recreational activity, the blue economy depends on things people need to survive. People want fish. People will buy fish. But tourism is prone to disaster. Just as we saw with the 2008 crash, many people didn't come. Why? They didn't have disposable income. We need to build an economic system where we don't depend on the disposable incomes of people in other countries, but depend on our own sustainability.
Thank you, Esteban. We will now move to our second speaker in this evening's competition from the Irene B. Williams Secondary. Please welcome Diego Bascom. Good evening, Diego.
Good evening, everybody.
Your topic, should Antigua allow Barbuda to separate? I repeat, should Antigua allow Barbuda to separate? You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. Should Antigua and Barbuda, twin islands countries, Antigua and Barbuda are twin island countries. So should Antigua allow Barbuda to separate? I say no. In 2017, when Hurricane Irma came and visited the Caribbean, Barbuda was destroyed. And it was the same Antigua that helped Barbuda get the resources we provided the hotel, it's not really a hotel, but a hotel for the Barbudans to come and stay. We should not separate. We've been working with each other since the dawn of time. Antigua and Barbuda share resources together. We as third world countries, we can do better than that. We should never separate. Antigua and Barbuda goes hand in hand. When it's the general elections, every 5 years, it's the Antigua and Barbuda they talk about. When they talk about third world countries, it's Antigua and Barbuda they talk about. So should Antigua and Barbuda separate? I say no. The second reason as to why Antigua should not allow Barbuda to separate is that Antigua and Barbuda need to develop their resources together. If Barbuda separates, they won't have no backup. When Antigua and Barbuda goes together, when we get things, we share the things. If Barbuda goes ahead, they will not get anything really. We need to be together and work in unity and build ourselves up from reparations. The other countries robbed Antigua and Barbuda their freedom back in the 19th centuries. We need to get back what we worked for. Our ancestors were slaved and we were exploited. So why should we separate? We should fight and get back our payment from our slave masters back in time. So in conclusion, should Antigua allow Barbuda to separate? No, they should not, because one, they are twin island countries. They go hand in hand. When there's general election, they talk about Antigua and Barbuda. They share the resources. They are together and they are one. They are as one. One country, one body, one nation. And secondly, we need to work as a team and collect our payment from the 19th century where we were robbed through the reparations committee with King Franchi and so many others fought for our freedom. So we should collect our payment as such. Thank you.
Thank you, Diego. Diego made his presentation in a time of 2 minutes and 32 seconds, speaking on the topic, should Antigua allow Barbuda to separate? We will now await the judge's question.
Good evening, Diego.
Good evening.
Your question: do you think that Barbuda is taking a toll on Antigua as we provide the main resources to build our economies? Do you think that Barbuda is taking a toll on Antigua as we provide the main resources to build our economies?
Honestly, I do not think that Barbuda is taking a toll on Antigua, as we are the one providing the resources, mainly because when we provide those resources, it's Antigua and Barbuda use them. We balance it. We divide what we have, we cut it into and send over to Barbuda. We're not being selfish and taking over anything. We share our resources. When people talk about the third world country, they say Antigua and Barbuda. We do not covet anything. We're not covetous people. We share our resources with Barbuda. So we are not, Barbuda cannot take a toll on our resources because we share them equally. We're not bad-minded. Thank you.
Thank you, Diego. We move to our next speaker and our final speaker this evening from the Antigua Girls High School. Please welcome Kewana Farrell. Good evening, Kewana.
Good afternoon.
Your topic, Should prisons be places of rehabilitation or punishment? Should prisons be places of rehabilitation or punishment? You have 3 minutes. You may begin.
I believe that prison should be a place of rehabilitation, not punishment. When a person commits a crime, they are usually, depending on the severity, they are usually sentenced to time in prison. I believe that this should not be a time where they're punished, but a time where they are allowed or able to reflect on the things that they have done and become a chance to become a better person. Many may view prison as a punishment, but I think that this could be a time where the person may right their wrongs. They may be able to reflect on themselves and decide that I've done wrong, but I can also change my mindset, I can change my behavior, and come out a better person. I also believe that prison should be a place of rehabilitation because there's a saying that we all deserve a second chance. We are human beings, we make mistakes, and we should not be penalized for the things that we do. Yes, we have the morals of right or wrong, but everything's happened to persons. We all have our days. So I believe that we should all be given the chance to be better, fix our wrongs, and that is why I believe prison should be a place of rehabilitation and not a place of punishment. Thank you.
Thank you, Kiwana. Kiwana made her presentation in a time of 1 minute and 19 seconds, speaking on the topic, should prisons be places of rehabilitation or punishment? We now await the judge's question.
Good evening, Kiwana. Your question, what programs would you recommend be offered in these prisons to make them better rehabilitation centers? Again, what programs would you recommend be offered in prisons to make them better rehabilitation centers?
Programs I would recommend would include workshops and counseling. To elaborate, the counseling could be done on regular basis where psychiatrists and therapists come in and they have sessions where they talk one-on-one, express their feelings, and that would be their time of personal reflection. The workshops, this is where they could give a helping hand, doing projects outside of the prison, inside, helping with projects such as structural projects, infrastructure, like agricultural projects and those types of stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Kiwana. Please applaud our speakers for their excellent presentations this evening. Who will be the 2022 Caribbean Union Bank Intersecondary School Impromptu Speaking champion? Will it be Kiwana Farrell from the Antigua Girls High School, Diego Bascom from the Irene B. Williams Secondary, or Esteban Feliz from the Trinity Academy? Please stay with us, and our judges will tell us when we return.
Our parents have always supported our career choices and assisted us to live with CUB student. Whoa!
Welcome back. After having listened to the 3 informative and educational presentations made by our speakers this evening, the judges are now ready to make their decision. We now invite the Chief Judge, Mr. Ursel Charles Jr., to come forward to present the judge's report and findings.
Good evening. Thank you, Ms. Knowles. And good evening to not only the in-studio audience, but those viewing and listening to us as well. Right, we only had 3 students this afternoon, so the judge's report will not be an extremely long one. I think I can pretty much safely say that as judges, we very much looked forward to this evening's activity because we were looking forward to hearing from 3 students who we knew had very different styles. And so we wanted to know how they would match up with each other, compare with each other on the finals or in the finals. And I dare say that they all did an exceptional job. I'll ask you to give them a round of applause. Now, you've heard from the judges before general comments as to what students can do to better their presentations. So I won't do that today in a general sense. I'll just look at each of the participants this evening, give us their strengths, their weaknesses, and then we can move on to announcing the decision. So let's start with number 1, Esteban Feliz. Let's break it down. His advantages, those things that he did very well. Esteban, you had very good command of the English language. I think each week we come and we aspire to learn the words that you know. So I think that is to be applauded. The way you logically develop your points as well, it would appear to us that you take your 2 minutes and your 3 minutes very carefully to look at how we're going to assess and present the topic. And so it's not just in a very haphazard way that you present. There is some logical thought given to it. And in that way, you tell a story. So we can see where you're going when you make your presentation. You start with your definitions, and then you delve into the parameters, and then you look at the main points, and then you summarize. And you are, by your very demeanor, very authoritative in the way that you present, and so we applaud those. On the negative side, those challenges that we'd like for you to work on for future activities such as these, eye contact. I know looking down helps you to collect your thoughts, but you do that quite a bit, so just try to maintain better eye contact with your audience. Modulation as well. We find that it could be monotonous sometimes the way you speak, so learn to modulate when you speak. And confidence. The fact is that you know what you're saying, so just be confident when you say it. Let's go to number 2, Diego Bascom. Diego, we've been familiar with in debate and impromptu for a number of years, so we were looking forward to his presentation. Diego, the things that you did well, you were always very organized. You always come with your points, you number them, so we know what's your first point, what's your second point, what's your third point. You summarize at the end. That's a very, very good way to approach your impromptu speech. You think outside the box. Sometimes the things that we will not even think of, you bring to the podium, and we appreciate those. It shows that you're a student who's not just confined to the book, but you look outside. And then you're able to connect with us, with the examples that you give and the stories that you tell. So we are always on a ride with you when you're presenting. In terms of developmental challenges, sometimes you can be a bit informal. And you need to remember that this is a formal presentation. And as a meanwhile to that, you tend to lose your composure, lose your poise sometimes. So particularly when you're trying to remember what is it that you want to say. So just remember to stand dignified and present with composure. And then we come to Kiwana Farrell. The things that you did well, Kiwana, would be, one of the things is that we applaud your vocabulary as well. The words that you use when you're making a presentation, it seems that you're a student who's very widely read, and we like that. You are very authoritative. When you stand here, you don't appear as a student. You appear that you have been studying your topic for years, and you know what you're talking about, and we are compelled to listen and often agree with you. But still, you come off as very personable, so it's not authoritative in a negative way. It's a good way to be. And the way you analyze, we like that as well. The way you synthesize as well, we like that. The way you're able to break down and then build your points. In terms of developmental challenges, use of your time, I think you could have done a much better job in terms of using the time you allotted. I think today you were allowed 3 minutes, and you only used 1 minute and 19 seconds. I think as well, you were very good at developing individual points, but you need to bring more points. Sometimes, I think today you only had 2 main points that you tried to develop. You should try to look at more points that you're able to develop when you stand here. And because you are searching to fill the 3 minutes with only 2 points, sometimes it seems like you're rambling. So we want for you to work on that and be a little more confident. Although your eye contact was, I think, the best we can safely say today, just work on your confidence just a bit more. All right, so now that you've heard enough from me and I have done my share of rambling, let's get to the judges' scores. And I will call them in order of their presentation this evening. So by the scores, you'll be able to tell who the winners will be. The winner is, who's second, who's third. So first we heard from Esteban Feliz of Trinity Academy, and an aggregate of 157 points for Esteban. A round of applause. Next we heard from Diego Bascom of Irene B. Williams Secondary, and he amassed a total of 104 points. And in third place, we heard from Kiwana Farrell from the Tier Girls High School. She amassed a total of 135 points. And so by way of the aggregate scores, in third place, Diego Bascom. Second place, Kiwana Farrell. And the winner of the 2022 edition of the Caribbean Union Bank Impromptu Speech Competition, Esteban Feliz, Trinity Academy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Charles. And by way of acknowledgement, I will ask all 3 participants to come forward this evening. Mr. Diego Bascom from the Irene B. Williams Secondary, Ms. Kawana Farrell from the Antigua Girls High School, and Mr. Esteban Feliz from the Trinity Academy. And I will ask our Education Officer Language Arts to offer them formal congratulations on behalf of the Ministry of Education. Our top 3 finalists for the 2022 Caribbean Union Bank Inter-Secondary School Impromptu Speaking Competition.
Good evening, everyone. It is indeed my pleasure to represent the Ministry of Education and Sports in offering profound congratulations to these students. We are well aware that they're operating in difficult times. They would have had 2 uncertain academic years, but they were able to come out during this season and represent their schools with confidence. And so we would want to congratulate them and to encourage them to continue to hone their skills to speak, not only prepared speeches, but in impromptu situations. It's a very, very critical skill to have, and we commend them for what they were able to do this evening, and we want to encourage them to continue to build that ability. So once again, congratulations to each of you.
Thank you, Mrs. Collins. And I wish to congratulate the Trinity Academy. I know that the Trinity Academy has been vying for this title for quite a few years. And this evening, they have finally clinched it and taken it home. Congratulations to the Trinity Academy. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a bittersweet moment, but we have to close this evening's encounter. But we will see you at our closing ceremony very shortly. Until then, it has been a pleasure to be with you week after week. And I know that you would have learned much from our students as they made their presentations. Until we see each other again, do enjoy the rest of your evening, and God bless.
Hi, I'm Andre from Caribbean Union Bank. Let's talk about our loans and deposits initiative. Everything is home. CUB is here to be a partner, offering you financing for mortgages, home improvement, furnishing, and even land loans. We got super low interest rates with terms of up to 30 years. For your deposits, we got great rates on your savings. So, come to CUB, where everything is home.